What's New with CareerForce webinar for July 2nd. We are going to be going over announcements, have some discussion on different topics, go over resources for career seekers, and resources to serve employers, and we'll end with whatever time we have left with a question and answer session with everybody who is in participation today. Our webinar today is going to feature several guest speakers, including people from partners, as well as Deed as well. Facilitated by me, Mike Lang, your Employment Services Director with Deed. Our guest speakers are going to include Lori Janatopoulos, the CareerForce Director, Deb Barr-Helgen, Director for the City of Minneapolis Employment and Training, representing the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards, Ben Balio, the Governor of Workforce Development Board Director, Maureen Ramirez, Deed's Office of Economic Opportunity Director, Ilyas Ali, Workforce Development in St. Paul Midway Office of CareerForce, Lena Balk, our CareerForce Systems Help Desk Lead, Liz Jennings, our CareerForce Employer Engagement Specialist, and Jackie Buck, our Employer Services and Workforce Strategy Director. Our topics as we go over the CareerForce announcement, we're going to be talking a little bit about how we can best serve those who are most impacted by the current crises going on, especially those without internet access. What are we doing? What can we do better? Think about any suggestions or comments you have as we get into that topic. We'll also be talking about planning for our CareerForce locations and how we will eventually get to providing on-site customer service by appointment. Then we'll have a discussion about ideas for rebuilding a more equitable Minnesota. So we're really hoping that you can start thinking about some of your thoughts about how might we do that? What's the role of CareerForce in that work? What needs to change and how we do our work? So think about those comments, and when we start that conversation, we'll be looking to the chat to hear some of your ideas and questions on that. Then we'll go into some resources for career seekers, talk a bit about Coursera, what it is, how it's a resource for our customers, both seekers and employers, and we'll do a little Q&A with that. Go into some tools available on careerforcemin.com, some top help desk questions, some top UI questions, and we're going to share a success story and kind of talk a little bit about how best to share your success stories with us. Then we'll finish up with some resources for employers, with about 10 minutes on updates in the workforce optimization cycle resources, and we'll end with whatever time is left with some Q&A. So we'll start now. I'll hand off to Lori and Deb for some CareerForce announcements.
Great. Thank you, Mike, and good morning, everyone. Happy segue, I guess, into 4th of July weekend, and I hope everyone has a great weekend coming up. First of all, I think what Deb and I want to start with is talking about how we can better reach out to those most deeply impacted now during the pandemic, those that have, lost their jobs, but also those that are without internet access. We've done a lot of great things in quickly pivoting to working virtually and interactively. We've had, thousands of career seekers participating in virtual career fairs that we've been hosting since April, and many others at local and regional virtual career fairs. I know Deb has been involved with this also. We've had thousands of participants in online workshops, including Job Club Online and other online offerings. We've done regular one-to-one appointments that are made over the phone and consulting on things like resume writing, interview prep, job search planning. But, the challenge is really to access for those people without internet and those without some level of digital skills. And as we all know, libraries also have been, for the most part, not open to the public, which has made that resource, the resource of the computers, difficult. And so we have seen that our customer base has changed since we've moved into this new virtual and interactive world due to COVID. Our customer base is a little bit better off than it used to be pre-COVID. And so we know that there are people that we are not reaching. And those are folks that probably have experienced the greatest challenges with the workforce development system. And so we're trying to think about some ways to be better at reaching out to those that have been most challenged. And we'd love to get your ideas too. And so if we could hear about what you're doing, if you've thought about this, if you could note in the chat perhaps about, how you might be reaching out to folks who need our services, including those without internet access or digital skills. Also include some of the challenges that you're facing in that regard. And so that would be very helpful to us because we can take that information, look at it, and we can figure out best strategies as we move forward and augment and supplement the strategies that we're currently doing. And since I don't want to take up the whole time, but I'd love to have Deb go ahead and introduce herself now, if you will, Deb, and maybe share a little bit about what you're doing in Minneapolis.
Sure. Welcome, everyone. Deb Barhelgen. I'm representing the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards today, and I'm also the director of the City of Minneapolis Employment and Training, the Minneapolis Workforce Development Board. Tech is really, in the tech divide is something that is very, it's concerning, and it's a issue in greater Minnesota. It's an issue in Minneapolis. And we are interested in hearing what you're doing to connect people to tech resources. I'll talk about today a few resources that I know that are statewide and that have been really helpful for us locally. I know just having a computer itself is an issue, and so a few resources that are available for that. And this is an organization that is actually national, is PCs for People. They offer technology resources, and they also offer low-cost internet access. And so I'd encourage you to go on their website. They offer resources for people that are 200% or below poverty, or if you're on a government assistance program. And and they offer technology resources for individuals and for nonprofits as well. So that's been a good resource for us. Other resources for technology resources, computers, also include Tech Dump, which is an organization regionally, if not statewide, and then Minnesota Computers for Schools, who offer technology resources. They also offer training programs. And so I think it's really important when we're meeting our customers, whether it's just on the phone, just making sure that they have access to the technology that they need to get through training programs. Also, I would, if you're a counselor out there and you are working with a participant that requires, whose training program has gone online, I would look at your local policy and look at whether your program that you're working with could pay for technology as a training expense. That's something that we've been talking about. So that's an option as well. But I think this is an ongoing issue that we'll have to address and continue working on. And I'm really also interested in hearing about what your ideas and thoughts are out there. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Deb. I know that we at DEED are just so lucky to have partners like our Workforce Development Board partners like Deb, who can really, working together, we can really provide the resources that we need to reach out and to help those Minnesotans who definitely need our assistance, especially now. One other thing that we're doing is that staff and partners are across the state right now are beginning a more urgent push to reach people who are looking for work and could use our services in the coming weeks, because as we know, the the $600, the temporary additional $600 a week in Federal CARES Act top-off is ending the last week of July. And so if you think that people looking for work in your area are aware that the additional $600 is slated to end this month, hopefully they do know about it. We're worried that not everybody does. And so that is one thing that we are really trying to focus on, is how we can aggressively now, when we expect perhaps an influx of customers, how we can make sure that we can connect them to the services needed. I want to just take a moment to see if Mike Lang, Director of Employment Services, has any comments and or suggestions about how we can, better help folks who are without access to the internet or digital literacy skills. Mike?
Yeah, well, primarily I have more comments and suggestions from our audience that I'd like to turn over. And so a number of people are talking about PCs for people, the availability of resources, especially those who qualify and even those who don't. We've had recent conversations with them. I don't believe that they are closed currently, but they're working on different ways to deliver their services. One big comment came forward is their concern about those who don't have computer access or skills. Some programs like VR are able to hire vendors for meetings in person, but a lot of people aren't able to meet in person. Which is a challenge, because the feeling is these services are absolutely essential to equity in Minnesota, and we're concerned that those most in need are not getting served. And then there's also some talk about libraries starting to open up by appointment only for some of their computer lab services, and some sharing on some New Horizons computer training. Offering free training on computer basics and other things as well.
Great, good, yep. And some of the things that we kind of have in the pipeline too, that I just want to mention, would be, I think PCs for People is an excellent resource, and I want to engage with them more and see if there's a broader partnership that we could explore. Mike and I have been talking with the libraries kind of across the state through their regional directors and independent directors, and see if there isn't, exploration to be had there. And reaching out to maybe some special populations is something that we wanted to do. So prior to COVID, so basically getting out of the building more than we have and figuring out how to do that. We're excited to work with our new Assistant Commissioner for Refugee and Immigrant Affairs to help us out with outreach to those communities, so that we're better able to connect. So those are some things that we've been thinking about that we're going to be putting into motion, and that we're kind of really excited about, especially as this $600 a week goes away. And I know, Deb, you guys have been thinking about, well, you folks have been thinking about at Minneapolis what you're going to be seeing once the additional 600 ends, and just wondering if you could share some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think it's important to get some communications in your local media, and actually a packet of resources have just been sent out to local workforce development area directors and job service managers. Just so that we can get the word out via, email, social media, and earned media about the unemployment top-off benefits ending, and also about dislocated worker services. So I think right now it's really important to be engaged in your marketing and outreach efforts through social media or earned media. So those packets went out, so there are resources out there for just doing that. And so we intend to do that as well.
Great. Thanks, Deb. And thanks so much for joining us. We're hoping moving forward with CareerForce, what's new with CareerForce, that Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards will be involved, because we really are the system together. And so really appreciate your input, Deb. I just want to briefly, I've noticed some things in the chat come in about in-person appointments and how incredibly important it is to, especially for those folks who do not have, computer access, how important it is to be able to meet with folks in person. And so briefly touch base again about our plans for reopening CareerForce locations for on-site customer service by appointment only. As we've said in the past, safety, the number one thing is safety for our staff and for our customers. And so that has been foremost in mind. He is working on specific site plans for the 18 deed locations that CareerForce locations that we manage. We know that there are some locations that we don't manage that are already open by appointment only. That's good. We have been staying in alignment as much as we can. So Gina Fortney, who is the executive director for the Minnesota Association of Workforce Boards, has been working with us so that our plans, they're seeing what our plans look like, and we're seeing what their plans look like, so that we can all focus on, safety first, while we know, as we've been talking about, the importance of opening up so that we can reach those customers that, have been most challenged. And so that's what we're doing. There's no firm date set in stone yet. There are a lot of things in motion, as I'm guessing you all know. The governor hasn't been directly involved in this, but with the governor's orders and such that we're paying very close attention to, that, we'll see if that changes our plans at all or adds to our plans. But also with the $600 going away, we know that we want to open sooner rather than later. And so that is really going to be important to us as we move forward. We've got our plans basically set now, and so now we'll be looking at how to roll it out, and that's kind of where we're at. And when we do reopen, it will be, as other folks have been doing, as other centers have been doing, it will be reopening to the public by appointment only. And so I think that's pretty good for a good rundown about where we're at with planning for CareerForce location on-site customer service by appointment only. And I'd like to turn it back to Mike, because I think Mike is going to introduce Maureen Ramirez. And I'm super excited to hear the equity discussion and thoughts coming up next. Mike?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank everybody for the comments that have been coming in, and the questions and the concerns that you've raised. They are very, very appreciated. I pledge that we will take this chat transcript and review these comments and suggestions with leadership and follow up on as much of it as we can. Very good. So keep those comments and suggestions coming, especially as we transition to our next topic with our next guest speaker, Maureen Ramirez, who will facilitate a discussion on rebuilding a more equitable Minnesota. Maureen?
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Good morning, everyone. Really, I think we're just extending this conversation because this is what I see happening in the chat is how are we serving people? So let me also say today is the anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that made it against the law to discriminate against people based on race. And so it made it illegal for employment discrimination in public places, that really landmark legislation. So it's always a good time to talk about this, but certainly we can feel a little bit of our history today, right? Of like taking a step in the right direction, setting that legal framework, but there's a lot more work to do ensuring equal access and ensuring that really we can do better. So we have a set of questions here, and let's look at them. What's the role of CareerForce in rebuilding a more equitable Minnesota? And what needs to change in how we do our work? Especially the second question, what needs to change in how we do our work? I can see in the chat discussion about people with a legal record and ways that they can get connected to legal aid programs. Questions about, again, serving people with little or no computer skills. I gotta say, I helped my dad apply for unemployment insurance, right? Like one of the human beings I love most in this world. And it was very frustrating because he doesn't have good computer skills. It's not something he does. You know, when I get a 2-line email from him, it's a really big deal. So it is a challenging thing. So I see the discussion about the libraries, about how and where people can get computer access. What else when you think about your specific role or your specific location? Open and excited to work with all people who want a job. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, Marie, and maybe this is Lori. Maybe I just jump in here a little bit. I know as the Equal Opportunity or the Economic Opportunity Director for DEED, I'm guessing that you've seen, you know, a lot of folks that really need jobs who and have heard from people of color and Indigenous people a bit about what we could do better. Have you heard those thoughts out there?
I've heard them. I've heard them more generically in a like, you know, I'm one person interacting with a big system. What's my way into it? How do I know where to go or what to do? Like that sort of, there's a disconnect before CareerForce, maybe not more specifically at CareerForce, right? Once they get there, but that's one of the disconnects we're talking about, the lack of access to computers. If you have a computer, access to the internet. Sure, maybe I can get an appointment at my library, but I have to have transportation to get there and then use my 1-hour appointment in a really structured and way to get everything I need to get done online. Yeah, because I'm seeing notes here about transportation support. And the other questions we have here also are, you know, some of this work about changing the system or changing our role in the rebuilding and the way we're doing our services. Important step in that is just noticing what is currently happening and which is what people are doing now, right? Like I noticed that it's hard to get transportation in rural areas. Like you can think about that. There are long lines on the unemployment calls. People are spending 2 hours on the phone and then they get cut off. Wouldn't it be great if CareerForce, you could, like, while you were waiting on your unemployment call for 2 hours, maybe have a chat with a CareerForce counselor for 20 minutes? Maybe it would use your time a little bit better, and maybe then you'd be less impatient about waiting on the UI call and get connected to a resource that could get you somewhere. I wonder if that's possible. But also would invite you to share if there are disparities that you notice in your work or like you're doing it, right? You're less able to serve people without access to computers, but what else?
And I just want to add to what, first of all, Maureen, thank you so much for the good work that you're doing at DEED. This is so necessary, and for being so supportive to CareerForce, you know, all along. But I want to add that this is really the tip of the iceberg, that we kind of laid the groundwork about how we now need to really focus on equity in Minnesota. You know, and I know that it was there before, but we have to take a laser focus and Maureen is going to be helping us with that. But as we move forward, if there are things that you don't necessarily feel comfortable sharing here right now, if you could go ahead and email that to careerforce@state.min.us, that would be wonderful. And as the tip of the iceberg, we really will take all of these ideas and look at them. And if there are ideas that we can implement now that make sense, we will. And if there are ideas that we need a deeper conversation around, we're going to figure out how to bring this back, because this is going to be an ongoing push for us. Maureen, anything that you would like to add?
Appreciate people putting in their ideas and people noticing what's happening around them and asking what they can do to change, right? I know that economic opportunity, disparities, and discrimination in the workplace or hiring bias, all those things are really big and can feel really hard when you're individually up against it. But noticing what's happening around you, taking actions that are right in front of you, and then communicating up and around with people in this system and in your local place. That's how we'll start. That's how we'll do it, and we'll do it together. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Maureen and Lori, for that discussion on rebuilding a more equitable Minnesota. And kind of a heads up for everybody too, at our next What's New with CareerForce webinar, Deputy Commissioner Hamza Warfa will join us to talk about the role of workforce development in this topic, rebuilding a more equitable Minnesota, and he'll also provide some other updates as well. So look forward to this conversation continuing, and keep the comments coming and chat and email, and much appreciated. Moving along to our resources for serving career seekers. We're going to go into this section and do a quick presentation on Coursera, do some answers to some new tools on careerforcemin.com, answers to some UI questions, frequently asked questions at the help desk, and share a success story as well. And so Ben Balio, Director of the Governor's Workforce Development Board, you want to tell us a little bit about Coursera and what it is, and how we can help career seekers using it?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So just a little bit of background on Coursera, what the Coursera platform is. So Coursera, it's coursera.org if you wanted to check it out if you haven't already. Is an online learning platform that hosts, it actually, Coursera just added some courses onto there for us. So it's actually about 3,900 courses now, or lessons, from over 200 colleges, universities, and also some businesses like IBM and Google are on there as well. So through this initiative, anyone in Minnesota is able to get access to Coursera for free. And so this free access also includes any certifications, credentials, professional certificates that users can earn by learning on the platform. There are 13 professional certificates on the platform. An example of one of those is like the Google IT support certificate. The idea is that you complete that and you'd be qualified for an entry-level IT job. So this free access to the platform for anyone in Minnesota runs through March 31st, 2021. And then the deadline to sign up and activate an account for free is September 30th, 2020. So anyone can sign up between now and September 30th for that access through the end of March 2021. So if you're working with someone who is interested in an account, or you yourself would like to create an account to check it out, you can go to careerforcemn.com/Coursera, where you just complete a form and submit a form that we're just asking for name, email address, zip code, and then just some self-identifying facts about how people have been impacted by COVID. So within a business day of filling out that form, usually much quicker, especially if that form is filled out during a work day, you'll receive an email from Coursera inviting you to activate an account. So there's a link in that email that you just follow to create your account. It'll only take like a minute or two once you've clicked on that link to create an account and get into the platform. once you're in the platform, any technical assistance, technical support questions, you can use the contact us feature within Coursera. So they're providing us technical assistance through this. So if you have any issues on the platform itself, general questions about the initiative, you can just email those to Office of Economic Opportunity at state.mn.us. And those are, currently getting relayed to me and my team, and we're doing our best to answer those pretty quickly. I've been getting assistance from others helping us answer those questions as well. As far as college credits go, so the majority of courses on the platform are hosted by colleges or universities, including, there's 62 courses, I believe, from the University of Minnesota on there. So if people are looking to utilize Coursera for college credit, they would just need to work that out with their, college or university directly. So that's usually how Coursera kind of works in general. A lot of schools do have policies around, prior learning and recognizing credit for Coursera. I am in, discussions with some of our higher ed partners here in Minnesota about ways to potentially better utilize this. And so we may have some updates there coming soon about how we can maybe use this as a pipeline for folks to get some college credits. But as of right now, really, if people have questions about that, it's just, they have to go through their school's registrar's office or the equivalent to get credits for courses on there. If you're getting any questions from nonprofits, training providers, labor unions, or just general questions from your partners, those can be emailed to Office of Economic Opportunity at state.mn.us as well. If you're getting any questions about how businesses can use this, the Workforce Strategy Consultants team are going to be helping us with that and have been helping us with that. And so they can go to the Workforce Strategy Consultants page, and I'll be working with Jackie Buck and her team on that as well. This is kind of a professional development tool for those folks who do have a job. That should be a helpful professional development tool there as well.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. All right.
Sorry. Okay, yeah. So then I guess just, how you could help career seekers use Coursera. So really the advice that you give to folks who maybe have interest in Coursera or wanting to use Coursera really depends on the type of job they're looking for or the career that person's looking for. There's a lot of IT training options on the site. So if folks are looking for something that could, get them some skills that are, valuable in an industry, I would say that IT, computer science, and programming are definitely the strongest on the platform. But of course, IT, overlaps with a lot of different industries that are looking for IT folks. If you have any other questions that you're putting into the chat now, we can get those answers to you as well. There are a lot of soft skills stuff on the platform too. And then any certificates or certifications people get on the platform, like I said, those will be free. They'll be able to get a link to those actually, so then they can share them on their LinkedIn profile or elsewhere. And then, yeah, if any CareerForce, staff want to use this as a resource, as a development tool for yourself personally, I'm sure that there's ways you can talk to your supervisor about that. Sorry if I went long, Mike.
There have been a number of questions coming in, and I think you've addressed several of them as well. Is there, and I think, there's things like the URL. For job seekers wanting to access it, I believe they have to go to this web URL right here, right, Ben? careerforcemn.com/Coursera.
Yep. And I'm typing it into the chat right now too. So that form, you just fill out your info there, and like I said, especially if you do it during the workday, within just usually 2 or 3 hours, you'll get an email from Coursera inviting you to activate your account that way. And then I do just want to throw it out there quick. You can access Coursera online, but also it's a mobile-friendly platform. And so there is a Coursera app that you can download for smartphones or tablets. And you can also download, whether it's on your computer or device, you can download courses when you are online and access those courses when you are offline if someone wants to access it but doesn't have internet at home.
All right. And so in response to some of your other questions, that have been coming in. I know that there's some questions about numbers. I know that a lot of people have signed up, and questions about, or a lot of personal experiences using this, and saying Coursera is a great website. And one question about whether or not dislocated worker. And I know we've had some previous conversations where we encourage programs to use Coursera. However, it makes most sense for the program management. And I thought, since we have Ilias on the line, if Ilias, do you have just like, want to just take 30 to 60 seconds and tell us a little bit about some of the frequently asked questions you've had with helping people with Coursera?
Thanks, Mike, for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. This is Ilias from the best St. Paul CareerForce, as you know. I want to begin with giving you my number, just in case in the future that you receive some new Americans calling you and running out the language of English. So my number is 651-539-4104. And the thing I want to say is that this is a golden opportunity for us as a CareerForce. The goal is for us to assist and give clear guidance to the job seekers, and especially people who's in need. This opportunity, sometimes it's overwhelming for some people. They need our guidance. What I mean by that is we need to explain how to take care, how to take advantage of this opportunity that deed is given to everyone in this state. Second, we want to advise people that they have to explore what Coursera is before they sign to the classes. They need to know exactly what to expect from Coursera. And on top of that, as a CareerForce, we must help them have a clear objective in terms of learning, and then help them understand that they need to be disciplined and come up schedule with the mindset of starting the course and finishing the course, so that they can benefit in the future, so that they can put on their resume, so that they can get better opportunity. And thanks to our leaders, indeed, I'm grateful that we have this opportunity. I have been receiving a lot of calls. People are happy to hear this from us, but they don't know what to do with it. And we do not dump people in the ocean without teaching them how to swim. So my role today is that we will get a lot of calls from the new Americans. If you have difficulties with them, please call me, and I'm willing to assist day and night, even 3 in the morning. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Ilias. And thank you, Ben. I know a lot of questions have come up here. We will get back to you with some of these answers to some more of these additional questions, but it's great to see what the field has for questions and concerns on this great new resource. So much appreciated, everybody, for your engagement, and keep the questions coming. Got the email address there that you can use to reach out at any time, as well as reaching out to Ben and Ilias with other questions you may have. Thank you. Moving along here, just some quick updates about some changes to CareerForceMN.com. One very significant piece is that along the time, if you go to the CareerForceMN.com website, you will see a third piece there that is our online tools. And the online tools is a very big new section where we've highlighted some of the most helpful pieces and powerful pieces that CareerForceMN.com offers everybody. Interest assessments, skills assessments, our occupations in long-term demand, jobs in demand during COVID-19, the ability to, some of the powers of creating an account, which is really beneficial to our customers because you can set career goals, use the resume builder. We're hoping to add more tools to this as we go along here as well, replicating some of the things that we do within CareerForceMN.com and making a good, useful, improving the value of this in everybody in CareerForce as we help our seekers and employers through our career search in these current crises. Another change that is made to CareerForceMN.com is that on the homepage, we've added some highlighted programs. So you'll see some cards there as well. where there are 3 side-by-side images that break out the decision tree. So if you use that, how can CareerForce help you? You'll see that it looks a little bit cleaner and neater. And there's some highlighted services there. As well, we've removed the YouTube feed and put the Twitter feed right next to that, and the newsroom at the bottom of our homepage, which has a lot of CareerForce in the news, the CareerForce blog posts, and the Twitter feed. The way to stay in touch with new and upcoming changes to CareerForce. Great new announcements and services and resources available there. Moving right along, we have some, we're going to have Lena talk a little bit about some answers to frequently asked CareerForce help desk questions. Lena, would you like to take us through these?
Sure. All right. Thanks, Mike. Well, first, I just want to give a quick little shout out to the help desk team. They've been working really hard and doing a great job in answering calls and responding to emails from our career seekers and employers. Some of the, just going to go through a couple of questions here. The first one question that we get a lot from our career seekers is, do they need to have MinnesotaWorks.net account in order to register for an event on CareerForceMN.com? And the answer to that is yes. Individuals who want to register for a workshop or event on CareerForceMN.com do need to have a MinnesotaWorks.net username and password in order to register for that event. And then they can also, in addition to that, once they've registered, they can go into their MinnesotaWorks.net account, or if they have an account on CareerForce, they can also view and cancel their registered events. The next 2 questions come to us from employers quite frequently. The next question is if I created an employer account on CareerForceMN.com, will I be able to post jobs? And the answer to that is it's no. Jobs need to be self-entered on MinnesotaWorks.net in order to appear on CareerForceMN.com. Employers can also register for an account on the National Labor Exchange as well in order to have their jobs indexed to appear on CareerForceMN.com. So the jobs on CareerForceMN.com come to us from the MinnesotaWorks.net self-entered jobs, the National Labor Exchange, where jobs are indexed from the employer's career site. And then also we do receive jobs from USAJobs.com. And then the last question that we get from employers quite a bit is, does an employer representative have to register for a new account on MinnesotaWorks.net when replacing a former employer representative? And the answer to that is yes. For security purposes, we want to make sure, that individuals who have the authority to post jobs have applied for an account on MinnesotaWorks.net, and the help desk team here has reached out to those employers, vetted them to make sure that they do have the authority to post those jobs and that they are posting jobs that are appropriate for our job seekers. So those are our main questions here this past month, and we'll continue to share additional information in the next webinar as well. And again, I encourage anybody that has questions or they're working with a career seeker employer that has questions to always give the help desk a call at 651-259-7500 or 7501. Okay,
Thank you, Lena. Moving right along here, some answers to some frequently asked UI questions. How long will the additional temporary $600 a week continue? I think we've covered that fairly well today, but just as a reminder, it is slated to end the last week of July. Our regular UI benefits and or the $600 additional $600 taxable income, yes, all unemployment compensation is taxable income. What if my employer calls me back to work on site, but I don't feel comfortable going back? Can I continue to collect unemployment? State unemployment insurance law prevents the state from continuing to pay unemployment benefits to those who are no longer eligible. Workers who are offered the opportunity to return to work and don't qualify for an exemption under Executive Order 20-05 or state unemployment insurance law are no longer eligible to receive benefits. That's straight from the unemployment law. That's why I read it word for word for I didn't apply for UI, but I got an eligibility letter in the mail. Why? We have seen that there is some usage of fraud occurring where people are using people's information and fraudulently reporting unemployment. And so that may have occurred in that case. If you or anyone you know is suspects fraud has occurred with regard to unemployment, there is a website right here to alert unemployment staff immediately to any fraudulent activities occurring on, with regard to your unemployment insurance. Moving right along, success stories. One of our recently submitted stories was Bunny's story. Bunny was helped by Angela at the CareerForce in Woodbury. She made the move from working at a coffee shop to now being an in-demand long-haul truck driver. It's another great example of how CareerForce can really make an impact for people's lives, and Bunny is a great example of that. So if you're working with a customer who's considering a career in trucking, she would like to let you know that anybody could reach her on her Instagram. Her handle is @BunnyTrucker, BUNNITRUCKER. She's fine with sharing your handle with her customers directly. If any of you out there has ever helped a person find the right job during this pandemic, or helped someone explore new career options after they lost their job to a COVID-19 closure, helped an employer find employees they need now, any examples like this are success stories that we need to tell. These stories of success are inspiring to others and demonstrates how CareerForce makes an impact for Minnesotans. It's real easy to submit your success stories online. Just there's a link right on CareerForceMN.com. You just go CareerForceMN.com, go to the bottom of the page, submit a success story. That's the best way to get that information shared with us, and then we will share it with stakeholders and leadership and everybody, and we'll celebrate it wherever possible. Submitting it on that website also gives us the permission to do so, and many of our customers are very willing to help us out in that way, so please encourage them to do that. Moving right along to our resources to serve employers, I'm going to hand it off to Liz and Jackie for this employer resources section. So Liz and Jackie, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you. One aspect of helping employers, as you all know, is the hiring events. You know, they come to us to try and fill their open positions. And, you know, I'm happy that I feel like we're naturally moving into phase 2 of all of the virtual hiring events, employers of the day. I know many of you have started doing these. I've talked to many of you. I'm joining team meetings. I've created a form, a short survey. I think it's only 4 or 5 questions. I've put it in the chat. Could you please right now just open up that form on your desktop and fill it out? It asks, have you started holding hiring events? Yes, no, or you're coming soon, or we're not going to do it. Your location. How's it going? Are you satisfied with your events? Are there any needs that I can help you with? Don't worry about only doing one per location. I can sort through all that. It's all right if we have multiple people from multiple locations. But I just want to get a quick sense of everyone going, what's going on. I really see a lot of good things, and now we're to this next step where we're going to do a little bit more coordination, a little bit more outreach to employers, getting to that next area. And then I'll have this form available too. I can email it out to people if you want. Next slide. Please keep using this event form. Some people call it the Trumba form. I've always called it the deed form. It's CareerForce now, whatever you want to call it. Let's get it back up to pre-COVID levels. And I know events are happening. So even all of the employers in your area, if they're holding a trunk and recruit tailgating event, or a excuse me, a drive-through event, have them put that hiring event in there. Also, for your locations, whether you're any CareerForce partner, private, nonprofit, government, Put your locations in here. This is the most universal calendar form that we have, and the link is there to go to it. So let's get those numbers back up. I do appreciate when all of you send me links or copy me on your events. I love knowing what's going on. So thank you.
And just a quick add on that, this URL that you have, and I put it in the chat for everybody as well too. It can be non-CareerForce events. It can be events in a CareerForce. We can do anything that would be available to anybody at any time. We're also trying to duplicate some of our statewide offerings on this calendar as well. So it's a great opportunity to just more widely promote this, and we can go here and grab this and direct other customers to the
Right. Good. Yeah. And even job clubs, job clubs throughout the state, through any organization, have often put their information in this. So, yeah, give it to all clients.
All right. Thank you, Liz. Jackie, would you like to talk about the workforce optimization cycle?
Yes, thank you, Mike. And I'm excited to be with all of you this morning. As Minnesota begins to reopen under the Stay Safe Minnesota plan, the Workforce Strategy Consultant team developed the Workforce Optimization Cycle, which is a process to identify and manage the unique challenges and best strategies that businesses were facing. In order to be the most effective, our workforce strategies obviously must be implemented safely and productively under uncertain and difficult economic conditions. So the Workforce Optimization Cycle has been a collaborative effort amongst all of the Workforce Strategy Consultant team members in which they focus on each individual stage of the cycle. The cycle consists of 6 stages, which you can see are highlighted on the graphic on your screen, and each stage includes a weekly blog post, videos and PowerPoints that dive deeper into the topic area and really are a great resource for you and for your businesses. The blogs are posted on CareerForceMN.com on Wednesdays, every Wednesday, and videos and narrated PowerPoints are posted on YouTube. This is part of the Planning for Economic Recovery series, and the Workforce Optimization Cycle was in response to employer questions and concerns that we received numerous times as related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm hoping that this is helpful for you. We also know that, as well as having relevant content to our audience, it's very important. So is the marketing and outreach around it. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that we're doing to be able to capitalize on the outreach. In order to reach as many businesses as possible, we worked with Deed's communication team to develop a marketing plan that really focused primarily on social media. This plan included GovDelivery emails, opt-in subscriptions to WSC or Workforce Strategy Consultant Communications, videos on YouTube, and doing some earned media and paid social media ads on LinkedIn and Facebook. Since we did the social media launch a couple weeks ago, we've had more than 1,222 page views of the Workforce Optimization Cycle landing page on CareerForceMN.com, with the Workforce Gap Analysis blog post having the most views, which is nearing 1,000. And our second highest page views is on the stage projecting labor demand. So we know that what we're pulling together is really important for businesses because we are getting return on our investment. We do expect our numbers to rise as we just started loading some new GovDelivery lists into our system last week that will allow us to even reach more businesses. Just in general, I would encourage you all who are working with employers to really go in and read through the blog posts for each of the 6 steps. We just posted step 5 yesterday on communicate and implement, and then next Wednesday we will have the last one of monitor, evaluate, and adapt, and then we'll do a recap. So if you have businesses with questions or they're requesting assistance regarding the workforce optimization cycle, or workforce strategies, please refer them to your regional workforce strategy consultant. And there is a page on careerforcemn.com if you're not sure how to contact them. And for those of you who are in the southeast region of the state, we did lose our workforce strategy consultants there to another position. And so your interim workforce strategy consultant is Jessica Miller, who also covers South Central and Southwest. So don't hesitate to reach out to her or to myself, and we would be happy to assist. If you have ideas or things that you're doing in your CareerForce location as it relates to employer outreach, or how we can get this information more broadly out to the employers throughout the state, please add it in the chat or feel free to email me directly. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jackie. This workforce optimization cycle is exciting, and I know it's been generating a lot of traffic and engagement with our CareerForce as well. So much appreciated for all the work that you've done on this. Unfortunately, that brings us to the end of our time here, and our Q&A is going to have to be put on hold, but I'm going to leave the chat transcript or the chat window running. So any questions, please put them in the chat. Even though we won't have a chance to address them today, we will follow up with as much of this as we can as we go along. Just some reminders for that. Remember, everybody, every CareerForce location has access to the language line to communicate with customers who speak a language that you don't speak. If you need assistance with this, please contact your site manager or the CareerForce help desk. We'll help get you to the right resources. These What's New with CareerForce meetings are continuing monthly, and they're going to be held on the first Thursday of every month from 10 to 11. Email us with questions, comments, or suggestions for our monthly webinar topics. Here is our list of speakers. Not everybody is on here, but most people are on here for outreach, for any follow-up that you may have. You can always start with careerforce@state.mn.us, and we will get your information in the right hands. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. It's so refreshing to see such great engagement on these very important topics. And I wish everybody a very safe and Independence Day for several reasons, not just the standard ones. And have a great long weekend. We'll see you all next time.